We'll finish our Chapter 1 review now here on page 4 with some graphing. So I'm going to graph this inequality, and it's going to be a line, and I'm deciding right now, since this is not underlined, it's greater than but not equal to, that my line is going to be dotted. Okay, so I need to make sure I dot this. So I'm going to make a little t-chart for x and y. And when I put in a 0 for x, so basically that's just gone. And I have 30 divided by -6 to get y by itself, and that is -5. So when x is 0, y is -5. And when I put in a 0 for y, I can just cover up that y value. I get 5x is 30, and I divide by 5, and I get x is 6. So I have a point here, an x-intercept at 6, 0, and a y-intercept at 0, -5. And I know that this is going to have to be dotted. Okay, now I have to decide where to shade. So I know that nothing on this line satisfies the inequality. It's going to be either the points that are all above it or below it that satisfy this inequality. Okay, so what if I put in the point 0, 0? So I have 5 times 0 minus 6 times 0, and I'm saying that is greater than 30. So 0 is greater than 30. That is not true. So the origin gave me a false statement, so that means that anything on the side away from the origin would give me a true statement. Anything else on the side with the origin would give me a false statement. So what I'm shading is this area down here. Number 20. Okay, so I've got an absolute value, and it is less than, so I know it's going to be dotted. This is going to be a V shape. Okay, so let's just pick a point. So what if I put in x is 0? 0 plus 5 is 5. Absolute value is 5, so I've got the point 0, 5. Okay, I could put in 1, and I'm going to get 6. So that's going this way. Let's try going this direction and see what happens. So -1 plus 5 is 4. Absolute value is 4. -1, 4. -2 plus 5 is 3. Absolute value is 3. -2, 3. Okay, -3 plus 5 is 2. Absolute value is 2. Okay, so we're still continuing this same direction. -4 plus 5 is 1. Absolute value is 1. -5 plus 5 is 0. Absolute value is 0. -6 plus 5 is -1. Absolute value is 1. -6, 1. And there we go. We have found where it turns. Okay, so now I can just follow the patterns I've established here. Okay, and it's going to be dotted. So there is the V, and then I have to decide where I'm going to graph, so I'll test the origin. 0 is less than the absolute value of 0 plus 5. So that's 0 is less than the absolute value of 5, which is 5. That's true. The origin made a true statement. The origin is outside, so I shade everything outside. So everything else outside would also make a true statement. And then our last graph, we've got a compound inequality. So I've got an inequality here to graph. Okay, so let's just make a t-chart for this. So if I put in a 0 for x, I get 6 is -6y. I divide by -6 and get -1. So when x is 0, y is -1. When I put in a 0 for y, I get 6 is 3x. Divide by 3 and I get 2. So I've got 0, -1, and I've got 2, 0. That appears to have a slope of 1 over 2. So go up 1 over 2 as many times as I can, down 1 and left 2. Okay, and that is less than or equal to, so I know this is going to be a solid line. Okay, then I've got an inequality here. Okay, so another chart. So when I put in a 0 for x, I'm going to divide by -6, and that will give me -4. So I've got 0, -4. And when I put in a 0 for y and divide, I'm going to get x is 8. So we're at 8, 0. So that goes up 4 and right 8. So that simplifies to 1/2. So up 1 over 2. Looks like I've got a couple parallel lines here. Down 1 and left 2. And this one is not underlined, so this is dotted. Okay, now for this first line, if I put in zeros, so I'm testing the origin, 0 is less than or equal to 3 times 0 minus 6 times 0. So that's 0 is less than or equal to, sorry, that shouldn't be a 0, that should be a 6. 6 is less than or equal to 0, and that's not true. So this one wants to shade this direction away from the origin. And then when I put in zeros here, I get 3 times 0 minus 6 times 0 is less than 24. So 0 is less than 24. This one wants to shade toward the origin, and they overlap in the middle. So where they both shaded is what we're going to shade here, where they actually overlap. So anything that's on this line or between the lines, but not on this line. So on this line or between the two lines is what satisfies this compound inequality.